able to sort of leave home and go find something to do. And I found a sales job, and I started selling. And I didn't have a lot of skill in sales. It's not something that I'd ever wanted to do, but I learned pretty fast that one of the most powerful things that I learned was that sales equals income. And if I wanted to make money, I better learn how to sell. So yes, for some people are born with the gift of they're born with the gift of being able to communicate with people. But how many of you know highly talented people that have immense talent to do certain things but never apply that talent? You know people like that? So maybe you went to school with people like that. Maybe you grew up around people like that. Lots of talent, did exceptionally well when they were young at school, did all the right things at school, great at sport, but have never really utilized that talent to go to create anything significant in their lives. And on the other hand, how many of you know people who weren't actually that talented, might not have been that talented, but really worked at it, put in the time and effort, and created some phenomenal results? You know, so you see that in sport, but sales is the same. So tonight I'm going to explore a couple of traits around sales, and once I've gone through some of those traits around what makes a good salesperson, I'm just going to ask the question: can you learn how to do those things, or are those the things that you're born with? So the first, there's a couple of traits in I have a sales program, and in that program we outlined 35 characteristics of great salespeople. So when I go through some of these characteristics, I'm just going to suggest write them down, and then ask yourself: is this something that I can learn to do, or is this something that I have to be gifted with, and it is part of my DNA makeup, part of what I'm born with? So the first one: great salespeople are self-disciplined. Self-discipline in sales is essential. Like anything in life, but in sales, can you discipline yourself to be able to do the things that have to be done every day to create results? Two, great salespeople are self-motivated. They set goals, they find a reason to do things, and in spite of whatever's going on around them, they get up and they motivate themselves to get it done. Number three, great salespeople have a positive attitude. So that's always an interesting one. Is your attitude, is your mindset something that you can shift, something control over when you learn how to control it? Can you shift from a negative to a positive attitude? Is that in your hands? So in becoming a salesperson, can you choose to have a positive attitude? Can you learn to have a positive attitude? The next one, great salespeople desire to learn more. They desire to learn more about their clients. They desire to learn more about how to sell. They desire to learn more about their products. They desire to learn more about the market. They desire to learn more about the economy. They desire to learn more about business. They have a desire to constantly learn. Can you teach yourself to have a desire to learn? Or is that something that you're born with? Great salespeople build good relationships through harnessing great people skills. Can people skills be learned? Like attitude and like positivity, can you choose to learn how to be good at greeting people? How to be good at connecting with people. You might not be an extrovert. Does that mean that you can't build good relationships? Some of the greatest relationships that I have in my life are with very quiet people, but they know how to connect. They know how to connect from their perspective into my perspective to connect with me. The next one is this. Great salespeople serve first, and they put needs of others above their own. So can you choose and learn how to serve? Or is that something that you might be born with? Great salespeople have a high level of self-confidence. Now, that's not arrogance, but rather self-confidence. So one of the things that we teach is we teach people how to create results. And, you know, those of you that have been in the sales explosion or been in a sales and leadership mastery program, one thing that you may remember, hopefully you'll remember it, hopefully it's the key, one of the key things you got out. But one of the things that you may remember is that results come from behaviors. Behaviors come from mindsets. Mindsets come from self-concept, which comes from conditioning. And when you shift your conditioning, you change your self-concept. So in essence, when you start changing the way you think about who you are, when you start changing your self-concept change, it creates a change. When you start changing your self-concept, what do you start changing? You start changing your level of self-confidence, self-awareness, your self-discipline, your self-focus, and you start growing your level of self-confidence. One of the reasons I never thought I would be in sales or never wanted to go into sales is because growing up, I didn't have a very high level of self-confidence. I didn't, one of my greatest fears was speaking in public. One of my greatest fears was walking into a room full of strangers. And my self-confidence was low, my self-concept was low, and it's something that over 25 years I've spent considerable time working. And I've learned that my level of self-confidence is in my hands, and it's an investment that I can make in myself. So can you teach yourself, can you train yourself on how to become self-confident, on growing your level of self-confidence? Can you surround yourself with people that can help you do that? So the next one's this. Great salespeople love to win. So is there anyone on this call that doesn't like to win? Anyone? I'm going to hazard a guess. You're on this call because you want to win. You want to win in your life. You want to win in other people's lives. You want to change where you're at. The greatest salespeople that I've worked with love to win for themselves. They love to win for everybody involved. They love to walk away from a deal knowing that every party in that deal has won. How many of you, just by a show of hands, fit into that category, that you like to win? You play to win, you want to win, and you want to watch other people win at the same time, yeah? So is winning a learned skill? Is learning to win a habit? Well, I don't know. Go and observe the All Blacks. So the All Blacks have got a habit of winning. When they go out, they've taught themselves how to win. Recently, watching the Sevens rugby, the Blitzbokker, they're teaching that they've taught themselves how to win. You know, again, another World Championships, the ability to win, So can you teach yourself how to win? So really interesting comment here is, so far it would seem that sales skills are the same as the skills required for entrepreneurship. Yeah. So, sales is an interesting thing. I've heard Robert Kiyosaki say a number of times in some of the rooms that I've been with him in, if you cannot sell, you cannot own a business. And he's also said that sales is the number one skill in business and in life. So as an entrepreneur, one of the foremost skills is, can you sell? But the most important skill as an entrepreneur is, can you sell to yourself first? So sales is really twofold. It's, can you sell to other people? But more importantly, can you sell to yourself? So those of you that own your own business, those of you that are entrepreneurs, how many of you can associate with that? In doing anything in your business, it's your ability to sell to yourself. To sell to yourself first, to get over your little voice. You can sell to yourself to get over that little voice of fear, that little voice of risk, that little voice of whatever it might be. When you learn how to sell to that, the game that you can play becomes much bigger. Can you teach yourself to master your little voice? We teach a number of tools and techniques, but there's many people that teach you how to be able to overcome the stuff that's holding you back. So Dirk, 100%. I concur with your question. Are they the same? They're many of the skills that make great salespeople also are required for entrepreneurship. So Angie says, wanting others to win with you is a learned skill. Yeah, it's a learned skill. It's a choice that when you go into a situation, can you get into a win-win for all parties? Peter, your is it question or statement? Unless you're sold on your business, you can't sell it to anyone. Now, that's an interesting statement. But if you have a vision and a mission, and what you have to sell, whether you're 100% sold on it or not, what you have to sell is going to serve your purpose and your vision and mission. Do you think you'd be able to sell what you have to sell? Linked to Anton's question, do you have to believe in the product 100%? So, Anton, that's dependent on a number of things. One, it depends on your personality. Two, it depends on what you want to sell. So I've sold things in my life that I didn't even know very much about. What I did know is I did know that the client wanted them. So I went and sourced them, found them, and made an offer to the client and made a sale. I wasn't actually that passionate. I wasn't that passionate or excited about the products that I sold, but what I was passionate and excited about was serving my potential client to solve the problem that they had in order to give them a solution and create a win-win for them and for me, if that makes sense. So does having passion in your product help? Yeah, like anything, so do you have to believe in going to gym to want to go to gym every day to lose weight? Or do you just have to have faith that if everyone else does it, you can get your butt in there, you can go do it, you lose weight, you get fit? Obviously, if you have, the more belief you might have in going to gym, the easier it might be. But sometimes we just have to have faith and trust that we're doing the right thing. So, guys, I think I spend, in the years I've been teaching sales, I've watched too many people wait to become passionate about what they're doing rather than get out, create action, and allow the passion to grow. In terms of creating the results that we want to create. So let's go back to a couple of the other key attributes of great salespeople. So great salespeople love to win, but they prepare to lose. And when they lose, they immediately ask, what did I learn? They don't blame everybody else. Can you learn to be able to take lessons from losing? Can you learn to be able to take lessons from failure? Again, a trait of an entrepreneur. The greatest way to grow your business is you've got to be prepared to fail, and you've got to be able to learn from failure. School teaches us not to fail. School teaches us not to make mistakes. Yet when you get out into the world of sales, when you get out into the world of entrepreneurship, in order to move forward, very often you've got to make those mistakes. So an attribute of a great salesperson is, I'm prepared to get out, I'm prepared to take action, I play to win and do whatever it takes. In my world, I play to win and do whatever it takes, as long as it's legal, ethical, and moral. Each one of you have your own rules in life. You decide how you want to play the game. But I just believe everything I do, I play to win. But I also know that in playing to win, I also have the chance of losing. I also have the chance of failing. I also have the chance of making mistakes. But in order to want to win, I have to be prepared to make mistakes. And most importantly, when I go out to win, my focus is, what am I going to learn when I win, and what am I going to learn, more importantly, if I don't win? What am I going to learn when it doesn't work, so that I can keep moving forward? Another trait, they accept rejection with the positive attitude, and they don't take it personally. Can you learn how to handle rejection? Can you learn how to handle no's? Great salespeople are loyal. They're loyal to missions. They're loyal to purpose. They're loyal to businesses. They're loyal to their team. They're loyal to products. They're loyal to customers. They build loyalty. Great salespeople are observant. Can you teach yourself to be more observant? Is being observant a learned skill? Can you walk into a room and consciously say to yourself, what is it that I need to observe in here? What is it that I need to see? What is it that I need to pick up? And over a period of time, can you teach yourself to become more and more observant? Now, this one is probably my favorite one, because I think this is one of the most important traits when it comes to sales. And it's this: great salespeople are great listeners. Now, the group that I was with today, I asked them a question. I said, what's the difference between listening and hearing? When I first heard this, I heard it from a guy called Steve Shapiro. And his answer was, like most things that are profound, pretty simple. Hearing is physiological. In other words, pretty much most of us are born to hear. Listening is a choice. Lots of us hear lots of things, but we don't listen. So listening is a choice. Listening is also a learned skill. So there's tools and techniques that we teach around teaching people how to listen. One of them is an exercise that we call the presence exercise. It's a pretty simple exercise. You sit down and you sit face to face with somebody else. You look at them in the eyes, and your aim is to get absolutely present. So what it does, it teaches you to shut your little voice down, to quiet your mind down, and get absolutely focused on the other person. Because how many of you have ever caught yourself sitting down in a conversation, asking a question, and instead of waiting to listen, you wait to speak? Yeah, I can see some of you, without even being able to see your videos, nodding your heads. But all too often, I think, is too many people sit down, they ask a question, and we're ready to speak without listening to the answer. So practicing pitches is important, but not listening to what somebody else is saying because you're so fixated on being able to pitch what you want to pitch is often disastrous. So, I have a saying in sales that says this: when you sit down at the beginning of the conversation and I'll talk about it in one of the later webinars this month. When you sit down and you talk to people at the start of the conversation, you're actually irrelevant. The only person that is relevant is the person on the other side of you. And if you really get that and you take what you think is relevant, you put it aside, and you make them absolutely relevant, you'll dramatically change the way you connect with people. So can you learn how to listen? Can you consciously teach yourself to sit, be present, and be attentive to what other people are saying? So rather than sitting and waiting to speak, can you sit, wait, and listen? So great salespeople understand numbers. I work with many people that say to me, I'm not in the numbers game. Numbers are not for me. And I think in business, I've really learned. Can I ask, Samuel, could you just mute yourself, please? Thank you, buddy. Cool. You know, I've learned in sales and in business that the language of sales is numbers and the language of business is numbers. The mode within which we connect is communication, but the language that we speak is numbers. So do you understand numbers? Now, I don't mean you have to be an accountant, but do you understand the numbers of business? Do you understand the numbers of sales? Do you understand what drives your results? Do you understand conversion rates? Do you understand DP versus markup? Do you understand how to move one number to the next? So great salespeople spend time learning and understanding how to read numbers. What do the numbers mean? Often great salespeople are already doing the deal in their head with the numbers before the deals come out on the table. You know, one of the things around deals that I learned from Kiyosaki was, if you can see the deal, you can do the deal. So can you see how the deal comes out in numbers? Can you view what it's going to look like? Can you view what the numbers are going to be? If you can see the numbers, if you can understand the numbers, you can do the deal. So like maths at school, can you learn numbers? Or is it that little voice that tells you, I'm no good at numbers? Can you get through that little voice to teach yourself about numbers? So Anton, your question, is it better to just talk or to do a PowerPoint presentation? Well, those of you that have been in my rooms, you pretty much know my answer. Well, Anton, I come out of the world, I believe connecting with people is the most important thing. I think one of the problems with PowerPoint, and we often say we create death by PowerPoint. Too many people get focused on the PowerPoint. PowerPoint's become all about the information, all about you, all about what you have and what you're going to do. And sadly, what happens with the PowerPoint is people get lost in the PowerPoint and the importance of the PowerPoint, and they don't get focused on what the client really wants. I never do, and it's just me and it's my preference, I never do a sales presentation with the PowerPoint. If I say anything in, it'll be 4 different colored markers, and with a flip chart. Or if it's without a flip chart, I'll walk in with nothing. I'll sit down, and my game is to connect and get in the client's world by asking them questions, by making it all about them, by getting into their world. So, you know, for me, I believe it's better, rather than talking, it's better to learn how to ask questions, connect with the client, and find out what it is that they really want, what it is that they really need, what problems they really have. When you do that, it makes sales so much easier. You know, I have a saying that often what happens is people walk into a presentation and they stand at the front of the room, and one of the first things the potential client or the person they're presenting to says, what have you come to sell? And then that person will spend the next 15, 20, 30 minutes, whatever they have, vomiting information all over the client and think, man, look what they asked me. And the reality is this, is often they walk out, and some of you might experience this, and you think you've nailed this presentation and you've had half an hour talking all about yourself, telling the client how good you are, what problems you solve, how big you are, all this sort of stuff. And at the end of the presentation, you get things like, sounds great, thanks, we'll send you an email. Sounds great, we'll discuss it in our next meeting. Sounds great, please send us your proposal. Sounds great. How many of you are still waiting for the meeting, for the discussion, for the proposal to be read? You know, so I just believe the quicker you can get in their world, the better. And when you learn things like short 30-second, 60-second elevator pitches to connect with them and get in their world, you start asking them questions. And when you start asking them questions, you really, really start making sales a lot easier for yourself. So, Dirk, you said repeat the questions. What? Give me a little bit more context around what do you mean? Repeat the questions. What questions would I ask when I speak to people? Is that the question you're asking, Dirk? Okay, excellent. So yeah, Dirk, there's tons of questions. So typically, let me give you the scenario. If I walk into a meeting and there's 4 or 5 people sitting at a boardroom table and someone says to me, so Barry, what have you come here to sell? Typically I would do something like this. I would say, hey, thank you, Dirk. Thank you for inviting me. Just for everyone in the room, by way of introduction, my name is Barry Mitchell. I've got a business called Uncovering Greatness for over 20 years. I've worked with thousands of individuals and hundreds of businesses all around the world to help them increase their sales and grow their business anywhere from 20% as much as 300 or 400%. So Dirk, if you wouldn't mind telling me, how many sales guys do you have in your business right now? Boom, whatever the question is, I give a brief introduction to myself, and I want to get into your world as quick as possible. So Dirk, you might say, well, we have 5. I'd go, great. And Dirk, how are they working up for you? And then I'll work with whatever comes back. They suck. None of them do any work. 3 of them are good. 2 of them are bad. 1 of them is great. 4 of them are young. They've just started. Whatever comes back, you see, there'll be a whole lot of different things that'll come back from the client. And if you just ask the question and you prepare to work with whatever comes back, that gets you into their world. And yeah, Dirk, you're 100% right. It's about interaction. It's about interaction in their world. I think, for me, I have a little slogan that when you come into sales explosion or sales and leadership mastery that we have, and it goes like this: it's all about them, not about you. Or it's all about them, it's not about me. It's all about them, it's not about me. And in sales, when we can shift our mind to move away from it all being about me and how important my product is and how great I am and how important I am and how big we are and how many customers is that all important? Yes, it creates credibility. But the most important thing is it's all about the client. Can I ask you about you? Can I find out about your problem? When I find out about your problem, can I connect my solution to your problem by asking you questions? So it actually becomes your solution, which is my solution to your problem, which I knew you had, but you told me because I asked you the right questions, if that makes any sense. So it's about asking questions. So, that's how you get in somebody else's world. Now, whether it's a client, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your business partner, whether it's your kid or your child, getting into their world is critical if you want to communicate with them. Too many times, I believe, in communication and in sales, we get stuck in communicating from our perspective, and we want to tell too much. And that there's a simple reason why, because we've all been to school. Pretty simple. The better you learned how to tell, the better you did at school. So people get stuck in a conditioned response of telling. So when someone asks us something, it immediately our conditioning kicks in. They've asked about me. I need to show them that I know stuff, and if I can show them how much I know, they're going to be impressed. Works the other way around. People want to tell you about themselves. So yeah, you're correct. It's important to get in their world. So in terms of that, it is it brings me on to probably the last for me. I'll bring this up now since we're talking about it. I was going to bring it up right at the end, but probably the most important trait of a great salesperson. A great salesperson knows how to ask questions. A great salesperson knows how to ask questions to make sure that they connect in the other person's world, to make sure that the questions they get good at asking questions. So my question is asking questions a learned skill, or is that something you're born with? Most of us have been taught how to tell. Again, I'll say it because we went to school. But asking questions is a learned skill. You practice it. We have tools and techniques that we teach. We teach a game called the question game, where you repeatedly keep asking questions to somebody else, question with the question with the question. And what it does, it re-engineers your brain. It reconditions your brain to teach you how to ask questions. And when you do, you connect with people in a very different way. So Dirk, you asking the right questions. I think to start off with, what I advise people is just learn how to ask questions. A question is way better than an answer. The wrong question is way better than trying to convince somebody that you have the right answer. Because when you ask the question, you'll get in their world. You'll find out. So, often don't get too fixated about what the right question is. Just get good at asking questions. And if you ask questions and you're truly, honestly, authentically interested and listening to the answer, you'll know the right question to ask. You'll know the right question because it's not about you anymore. When you're too worried about, it's about me and I have to impress and be impressive and be interested, that's when the pressure's really on. So yeah, sales is about developing people's skills, and people's skills are learned. So Rian says it's so easy to become demotivated when sales are dropping. Staying motivated is important. 100%, Rian. So motivation is a key trait of being in business and being in sales. Learning how to self-motivate yourself. So the question is, when sales are dropping, I ask myself this question: wow, what am I learning? What's the opportunity for me to learn out of the things that aren't working? That's not always a great place to be. But the motivation is, what do I need to do? What do I need to learn to get myself out of here? So motivation is a learned skill. Things like visualization, affirmations, hanging around with the right people, changing the environment that you operate in, all adds to motivation. So when you change the environment you're in, you start changing your level of motivation. One of the things that one of the tools that I can give you, it's a little voice mastery tool, is called Celebrate All Wins. In anything that you're in, find a win. So what happens is when sales are dropping, we get demotivated. So what we do is we focus on the dropping sales. We focus on the negativity, yes? And when we focus on the negativity and we're not getting excited, what happens to our energy levels? Our energy levels drop. When our energy levels drop, what happens to our motivation? It drops. So it's a cycle of going down. What you got to do is you got to pull yourself out and say, where's the win? What can I find that's a win? And you teach yourself how to find wins in every situation. How to uncover. You see, life happens in duality, which means where sales are dropping, where one thing is happening, something else is happening on the other side. Where there's a positive, there's a negative. Where there's good, there's bad. Where there's up, there's down. The question is, can you teach your mind how to look for the other side? how to look for the good in what's happening, how to look for the lessons. And when you start doing that, celebrate the wins. Find a win every day. One of the techniques that we teach is at the beginning of, or at the end of every single day, sit down and look back on your day and write down a minimum of 5 to 10 wins. Now, you might think that everything sucks. Believe me, you'll find wins. Hey, one win. I actually got out of bed this morning. Second win. My office was still there. In spite of being an overdraft and no one paying me, I still have an office. You find wins. And when you find wins, it increases your level of energy. When it increases your level of energy, you start having gratitude. When you start having gratitude, fear goes away. When fear goes away, you start creating results. When you go the opposite and you have no gratitude and you're worried about things aren't working and you're dipping down into negativity, it's just a downward spiral. So, Rian, hopefully that helps you with that one. So, Dirk says, asking the right questions has a lot to do with people skills, 100% correct. Recommendation on good books to read based on the key sales you convey would also be very helpful. Well, I can tell you one is my book. If you're interested in that, Dirk, it's called Sales is a Life Skill. You can email us, SMS us, put it down if you want us to get it to you or to show you how to get it. 18 tools and techniques on how to become better at selling. And then there's a couple of other books. Little Voice Mastery is a book that my mentor Blair Singer wrote, which is around mastering the sale to yourself. A book called Sales Dogs, which is around developing sales teams. A book that I've used for many years that I love is called The Sales Bible. It's by a guy called Jeffrey Gitomer. Great book. 101 tools on how to get good at sales. There's tons of stuff out there on sales that you could read. Obviously, I'd say start with my book, but no, in all seriousness, there's a lot of stuff out there. And challenge yourself. Barney says, have sales techniques changed from 20 years ago to now? Barney, I've been in sales for nearly 30 years, and I've lived on a couple of core principles. One, serve first. Wherever you go, serve first. Make it all about the other person. Get in their world. 2, deliver on your promise. Trust is fragile. Trust is fragile. And when you do not deliver on your promises, you break trust. When you break trust, it's a very hard thing to get back. So for 25, nearly 30 years, one of my key focuses has been trying to ensure that I deliver on my promises. 3, make it all about them. Sales is all about them. It doesn't matter what method you're selling in. It's all about them. You're selling online, it's all about them. You're selling direct, it's all about them. You're selling off stage to 1,000 people in a room, it's all about them. Too many people get on stage and it's all about me. Look at me, I'm the greatest. I can do this. I'll help you. For me, what do you want? What do you want to learn? What do you want to get out of it? How can I help you get what you need to get? When I help you, famous Zig Ziglar said, when you spend your life helping other people create what they want, you'll get what you want. And I don't believe that's changed in nearly 30 years, not the 30 years I've been in sales anyway. Don't chase the money. Chase the delivery. Chase the delivery, chase the serving, chase the result that you give for the client, chase the win-win, and the money will come. Too many people are chasing the money. Make sense, don't focus. Make focus on making sense in what you do. Don't focus on making money. The money will come. Too many people in sales, I believe, just chase the money, and they chase the money at the expense of customers. So, Samuel, how do I propose to meet a client for a presentation? Mate, there are many ways you can meet a client. Personally, I like to meet face-to-face in front. Sometimes I do proposals or presentations on Zoom, on a platform like this. But however I do it, it's all about asking questions and connecting in their world. So, folks, before I start finishing off, before we go into any more questions, I'm going to finish off with the question that I first started with. Is sales a learned skill, or is it something you are born with? And can everybody learn how to sell? So what I'm going to ask you to do is just type in for me, is it a learned skill, or is it something that you're born with? And let's see if let's see where we shifted tonight. Very good. So what I'm seeing is pretty much the majority of you have typed in a learned skill. Sales is a learned skill, and my belief is this: sales equals income, income equals life. The better you get at selling, the better your life becomes, because the better the income you earn. And income is not just about money. Income is about the income that you get out of relationships, the trust that you build, love you create, respect you build, those type of things, as well as the money that you generate. So Bonnie, personality does come with it, of course. In the program that we teach around what we call sales dogs, we look at different salespeople like different dogs. Different breeds of dogs have different personalities, exactly like salespeople. And when you learn to sell within your own personality and be who you are, because you understand who you are, and you learn to sell to other people in the personality that they like to be sold in, that becomes a much easier way to sell than trying to, some of the old school teaching was you have to be able to be anybody and everybody. Well, that's pretty hard for some people. So you got to be able to change. So folks, any other questions before I wrap this up? So folks, how many of you got value out of this evening? Excellent. So pretty much I'll be running a webinar every Tuesday. At this time. Please join us. Please get on this. Get on the webinar. It'll be different topics. Sometimes I'll talk about similar things, but I believe that when we repeat things, when we learn things from a different, the same things from a different angle, we really start learning it. So I have a couple of events coming up. In October, I have a program called the Sales and Leadership Mastery Program. That is a 2.5-day program that I teach 3 times a year. It was a program developed by my mentor, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Advisor, Blair Singer, and we'll be doing that in October. But coming up in the next couple of weeks, I have a 1-day program, which is really the sort of introductory program around sales, which is a 1-day program called Developing a Sales Strategy and Understanding and Learning Sales Numbers. So it's a 1-day program where what I do is I take you through a process of understanding what the sales funnel is, understanding the key numbers that you need to put in, understanding and developing during the course of a day a very clear sales plan that you can implement immediately and start driving over the next 6 to 12. Up the link. That program is coming up. Marlon, will you just give me the details? Will you pop those details up for me? So that program will come up. Will be on 17th of July from 9 o'clock in the morning until 5 in the evening. It'll be in Bedford View at the Nickel Hotel, and the cost of that program is 995 Rand. Marlon will put up the link. If you wouldn't mind doing me a favor, if you're interested in attending that program, if you're interested in getting more information, please will you just type into the chat box interested, and my team will get a hold of you, touch base with you, and let you know how you can take the next steps. Or Marlon will send you a link, and you can go directly online and register on that link. But it's a program that really gets you started around developing a clear sales plan, and for me, sales plans must be simple, focused, and very direct. So you'll walk out of that one-day program with a full flip chart page with your whole funnel designed and ready to action, and then to be able to take it from there. So the link is in your box, been sent to you. So folks, I just really want to thank you for being on this call tonight. I'll be here, not in Cape Town, but I'll be on Zoom same time next week to take you through another session around sales. So thank you for your time. Thank you to Marlon and my team for hosting us and putting it on. And love to have you back next week. And for me, the most important thing: did you get value out of the teaching and the learnings from this evening? Cool. Thank you for your feedback. You guys be blessed. Have an awesome evening wherever you are. And just remember, sales is a learned skill. Every single one of us can learn how to sell. In fact, the reality is this: every single one of you sells. The question to ask is not what am I selling, but what are other people buying? Because whatever they're buying is what you're selling. So looking forward to see you on the 17th of July at the Nickel Hotel, and looking forward to see you back on next week's sales call. Be blessed. Chat to you soon. Thanks very much.